Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Karl Frye with me here today. Karl has 20 years of experience in commercial real estate, as well as banking experience, and is the principal of Frye Practice Sales. Welcome to the show, Karl.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
All right. So, Frye Practice Sales. These are what types of practices you help people with?
Medical practices. We do, I would say about 90% of our business is in the dental arena. So we are helping dental practice owners, sellers, buyers in that transition phase. As most of the time, our client's going to be the seller who's saying, "Hey, I'm at a point in my career. I either want to monetize the equity in my practice and sell to a group, sell to another dentist. I want to retire." So we help them, from A to Z in that process, and helping them value their business, and then market their business, find the buyer for their business, help throughout the transition process, and help them close up the transition, working with all the parties. And obviously on the commercial real estate side too, there's always a piece of commercial real estate because there's a lease or a building purchase that we're working through something there too.
Nice. So you're well suited to help with that part as well.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So it depends upon the industry, I'm sure, and the markets, but besides dentists, medical office, veterinarian stuff, what percentage of those different ones are you seeing trade to other private owners versus bigger groups like equity groups?
I would say, I think the latest percentages that I saw have the dental roll-up space in about 32% of dentistry is being done in a corporate dentistry setting nowadays.
Okay.
And that's a very broad way of saying it, because there are different types of groups. There's the ones that are fully owned by a private equity company. There's what's called a DPO, which is a dental partnership organization, where there's the dentist owns a percentage and the private equity group or the sponsor owns a percentage too. And that could be a 60-40 split, 70-30 split. So I would say, there's that 75+% that are still private dentists that we then transact from dentist to dentist versus the private equity play.
Okay. And I know, like, some of my optometry investors, one will not sell to private equity, at least not yet, and the other one did and had a good exit. So it's kind of a funny mixed bag.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of who you talk to, and obviously the private equity sponsor is huge because there's aggregators who are just gobbling up practices and putting them together and trying to ship them off to the next recapitalization event.
Right.
And there's also ones that are actually, working in the practice and want this thing to grow. And some of them have an ESOP format. Some of them have we're never going to go to a private equity sponsor, or some of, hey, we want to do an IPO. So a lot of them have different, I guess, exit strategies. And some are just going to hold for a long time too.
Okay. Do ESOPs work well in the medical industry?
It's very rare that we see them. The ones that I've seen have been successful, but it's not common. More common is the private equity, backed, what they call DSO, which is a dental service organization.
Okay. I've seen just here in my part of the valley, Love Pet Company or something. All the private veterinary clinics have all been now they all have the Love sign on them everywhere. So
yeah, it's interesting. And NVA and Banfield have done a lot of that consolidation space because they're owned by the Mars company, which is kind of funny. You're like, you make a candy bar and you veterinary clinics. Okay.
What are the candy bars made out of? Right. Okay. So what are some of the current market conditions which make sales good and bad? Right? Is there a market cycle aspect to it?
Yeah, there always is. I think right now it's a very strong marketplace. The interest rates that we're seeing for a dental buyer from a private party, side is, a 10-year fix in the low to mid 5% range. So cheap money comparatively. We did see that kind of have a negative impact for a while when interest rates went up in the DSO space, because that was kind of money that was, non-recourse funds, and what was 8% at that time is now 13%. So obviously that 5% spread has to be made up somewhere. So it did cause some of the DSOs to sit on the sideline. But now they're coming back. Interest rates have gone down a little bit. I think also at some point within their strategies of having to deploy capital, you can only sit on the capital for so long if you're looking at a typical 3 to 5 year recapitalization kind of schedule. So I think that's caused the market to get a little hot again as well, that the private equity companies are saying, hey, go spend the money. We need to deploy the capital. So lots of fresh, there's still a lot of dry powder out there in the marketplace for them. And then with obviously the baby boomer generation starting to, move out and retire, there's a lot of practices on the private side that are coming available too. And it has to be a certain practice to hit parameters that a private equity group is going to, be okay. Like there has to be certain EBITDA requirements that if it doesn't hit that, well, obviously then they're going to be focused more on a private doctor-to-doctor transaction.
Okay, right. How many of your clients or these businesses are local or Arizona-based?
I would say 90% of my business is here, okay. 85 to 90%. It's starting to grow more into other states as, just we do a great job at what we do and people see it.
Based.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I went to dental school with this guy. You did a great job for my practice. Can you help us practice out in Salt Lake? Can you talk to these guys in, the Denver metro area, Southern California? So we're starting to see quite a bit of expansion. And I think it's just a testament to us doing a good job for our clients and the partners that we work with.
Okay, right. Do you ever help people transact within the company, right? If the senior dentist is doing a buyout to the juniors, is that something you participate in sometimes?
Yeah, we help with that kind of associate buy-in. Okay. We just did one in Gold Canyon last month. Okay. It's not as common just because I feel like a lot of times in theory, that's what you would think would be the best, but you have to have that perfect really match of clinical philosophy and just different things that are hard to sometimes get to match up. So we see it and we do it. More times we're seeing the transaction of someone coming in and buying the practice versus an associate buying into, but we still see it. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. How about, sorry, I'm still interested in the different spaces. Like, what is it? These med spas and physical therapies and stuff like that. Are you seeing those transact or trade?
Physical therapy did a big roll up a few years back. So there was a lot of the PTs that got rolled up into a similar to what we see in the dental space. We saw it in the vet space too. I'm sure your friends you were talking about in the optometry space, Barnett Delaney yep. Perkins did a ton in the optometry and ophthalmology space. So yeah, I mean, there's I've seen in the chiro space. I've seen in the behavioral health space. So we're helping some clients that are behavioral health clinics or companies, groups, and they have different types of ways that they can work with providers and skilled nursing facilities and senior living facilities and things like that. So yeah, I think they're, as private equity, their job is to deploy capital and make money. Right. And sometimes it's a bowling alley, sometimes it's a dental practice, sometimes it's a whatever, a veterinary clinic. They're, I think, agnostic as long as the business makes right. money. So I think there's lots of verticals that are going to get rolled up, maybe different multiples, but at some point, private equity is going to find a way to deploy that capital there.
Okay. Are there any other clinic or health related industries that you've seen are kind of hot now? Like the PTs a couple of years ago at Foothills. I know a friend who was part owner in that and stuff. I don't know. I want to call it a trend or a fad, but different ones that get sexy at any given part of the cycle.
Yeah, no, you see it a lot. Like you're saying, we saw it in HVAC. There was a big HVAC roll up. I think that I think the behavioral health is going to be, something that we see more of, just because as we as a people understand the importance of behavioral health, it becomes a little more prominent in people's minds. I think as we start seeing things as a more of holistic view of all these things coming together and really, all having a point, like your dental health has obviously going to influence your health in general. So it's kind of a holistic view that people are starting to see that all these things have a little overlap. And so, if we're doing this, maybe we should also do this. So yeah, I would say behavioral health is big. The dental space is still very strong. I think it's so when I used to run the bank, our loss rate in the dental portfolio was less than 1%. So it's a really good risk. And I think that's really what drew private equity at first to it, that it was kind of, it's not, people are always going to need to get their teeth cleaned. So it's a good, solid industry. And a lot of times you have someone who's gone to school for an additional 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, and they hung their shingle. And so this is their pride and joy. So they're not going to let it fail. So that's a good horse to bet on.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. Karl, what are some of the bigger challenges right now for practice sales?
I think there's a lot of competition. So it's really just kind of keeping up and having that good, in the dental space, the hygiene program is important, because that's your patients coming back and re-seeing you and seeing you. And so that's a good thing that builds up that goodwill. That becomes a big portion of the practice when you're selling it, is that goodwill and your connection with the patient base. So I think that's important. Getting new patients is important. And obviously, we here in Phoenix, we have 2 schools that are, graduating 120 new dentists a year. So that puts more dentists into the marketplace. And those that don't want to go work for a corporate dentistry are going to go find an office and buy an office or start up an office. So there's just more and more competition coming into that. I think that, and then you have the private practice owners trying to compete with the corporate owners, who the corporate guys have the relationships with the supply companies. They have better reimbursements from the insurance providers, or the insurance payers, excuse me. So that creates another kind of, unfair playing field when, you've got a 1 doc practice that does maybe $1 million trying to compete with a 800 office DSO that has, everything on lockdown. Their pricing is stuck at 3%, and this guy's paying 7%. That's kind of a 4% spread there that he's going to be challenged with.
For sure. Okay. Well, it sounds like things are going well in a few of those ranges. And being a real estate guy, I have to ask, besides, when you someday want to stop doing this stuff, right? And you have like retirement plans and other income coming in, do you have real estate in your own portfolio personally?
Not in the commercial space, just in the residential space. I see so many deals that I'm always, that looks interesting. And some of them are great. So not specifically in my portfolio. Through others, I have little bits here and there in the commercial space, but nothing where I have this extremely large, vast portfolio of shopping centers and things like that.
Well, or just you don't rent out buildings to dentists or anything like that.
No, I mean, it's challenging you'll see in the Phoenix marketplace, most of our dental practices, it's not like the Midwest where you see the 2,000 square foot standalone brick building that's, Dr. Johnson's. It's, in a Bashas' or something, anchored shopping center, and those can get pretty pricey.
Okay. Right. Okay. Fair enough. I have a friend who has a fund. That's basically they're rolling them up. They're buying a bunch of those little practices and they roll them up to sell to a REIT. Okay, so you have your own like smaller residential then, like Airbnb or single family rental.
Yep.
Okay.
A few of those. Okay. So just kind of I dabble more so in that than I focus on. So the commercial is where I spend every day. And there are some good ones out there, and there's ones too that sometimes we get presented that if for instance, we're selling a practice in a building and they don't want to buy the building, there's an opportunity there to either go into it with others So there is an opportunity, and there's things that we've looked at, but we haven't transacted in that realm quite yet.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any big plans for or goals for 2026, for example, coming up?
I think the goals are more so on scaling, and so it's kind of, I think the business keeps getting fueled every day, and it keeps growing every year, which is fantastic. So we're still in the summer, as I like to call it, and it's great. But I think the benefit now is trying to, really utilize different, be it AI, whatever it may be, to scale correctly. And that's kind of where our focus is right now going into 2026, is scaling in the proper manner so that we can do more business and determine if that is, more feet, more boots on the ground, or if it's more processes. And that's kind of where, as I run into the new year, where my mind is, and being the owner, I wear a lot of hats. And so I try to do some time every day on that. But then obviously, as you know, there's, this deal and that deal and this deal and that deal. And next thing you know, it's 10:30 p.m. and I'm like, okay, I need to shut up and hit the sack.
Right. Right. So, I mean, it seems like you naturally just keep staying in the dental space, but are you trying to target any other particular types?
Yeah, as I said, in the behavioral health space, we have some clients.
Right.
So we've started this year. It's very, very brand new, but we started kind of another arm of the company that we're slowly growing and kind of positioning to handle the non-dental requests that we get, because we get them. We've gotten calls from colorectal surgeons. We've gotten calls from behavioral health, as I said, to pain docs. So the need is out there. And that's where I'm working another, on top of Frye Practice Sales as well, for the dental space. I'm also talking with a partner as far as how do we scale this non-dental aspect of it. And so he's a CEO of another company. And so we've kind of both have that, hey, let's do this. And then we're trying to find the time to do it outside of running our independent companies. So,
sure.
But he's a great guy, and I'm sure we'll put it together. And we have some really good ideas. We've got we've planted the seeds. And so now we're just trying to figure out what's the best way to water them and see them grow, in addition to trying to run our own businesses. So that's kind of the challenge there.
Okay. Very cool. So, I'd like to wrap up some of these with reflection questions. Now,
Sure.
With your vast experience in a few different industries and stuff, and where you're dialed in right now, I was wondering, what do you wish you knew sooner about building wealth and success earlier in your career?
I think it's, as a self-employed individual, being more cognizant of the opportunities you have. Because I was in the W-2 range, and as an employee for a long time, and as a 1099, or however you pay yourself, there's a lot more opportunities to be creative. And I think surrounding yourself with good people that understand ways you can create wealth, and be creative with your funds, there's a lot of opportunity there. And so I would say to somebody who might be me 10 years ago, start talking to your CPA, start talking to your financial advisors, explain to them what your business is doing, and forecast what that income could look like down the road, so that maybe you're being a little more proactive versus just having it a lifestyle business where you make money and you spend money.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, that's be a little more thoughtful, intentional, proactive.
And it's more fun. It's more fun to be able to say, oh, okay, let's play with that. Let's do that. What are these, like you said, the funds that your buddies have going? That's cool. That's fun. And once you have that capital put away, you can take a little more risk and say, hey, this is a fun project, and this is just my set it and forget it portfolio.
Right. Okay. Good points. And also, I'd say, I mean, when you're younger, right, you can be a little wilder and take bigger risks, right? And when you have
at a point, but once you establish that capital where you're like, okay, I can play with this because I know if I lost it, I'd be okay.
Yeah,
that's
now
fun
it's
too.
Fun money. Yes, yes, for sure. All right, Karl, if people would like to connect with you and learn more, where can they go? What should they do?
Yeah, you can. I mean, I get over my cell phone number. It's 480-599-6958. You can come to our website, which is www.frye, practicesales.com. You can always kind of send me an email too. It's just Karl, Karl, at frypracticesales.com. It's pretty easy.
All right.
So come to the website.
Sunshine. I got all these diplomas on the wall reflecting sunshine in my face. All right.
That means you're successful.
Yeah. It's our expensive trophy wall, I guess. Okay. All right. Well, that's all great stuff. Thank you very much. Is there anything else I should have asked you, Karl?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think the only thing that I was going to mention to you that's a little different about me versus most of the folks that I see doing this is the fact that I have a finance background. So you mentioned, I used to run the state for a large medical bank. So that's kind of what drew me to this is I saw there were too many doctors that were transacting, not knowing the true value of their assets. And then we saw the individuals that were doing those transactions didn't have a financial background. So that was mind-blowing to me that these individuals were entrusting their life's work, and one of their largest assets was someone who didn't have any credit training. So that's what brought me into it, and I think kind of sets me apart from a lot of the folks that might be called my competitors. I think we're kind of a step ahead and above from a being able to truly understand tax planning, looking at your financials and understanding what your true seller discretionary earnings are, or what your take home really is. Your net profit says one thing, but let's look at the entire picture. So we do things a little differently from a global debt service and global overview perspective.
Okay. Great points, Karl. I think you're well suited to provide some real bonus value besides just transacting practices.
Yeah. And we can help with the real estate. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah, that too, for sure. All right, excellent. Well, thank you everyone for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Karl Frye, for joining me today and sharing your story and your insights into dental and medical practice sales and commercial real estate.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.